talk about whether Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. I do a live quite regularly, several times a week, and answer all your questions about all things retirement, survivor benefits, disability benefits, spouse benefits, and all the rest of it based on my decades of inside the bureaucratic beast that is the Social Security Administration. And on a regular basis, through the YouTube comments and during live QA, some people always ask, is Social Security Administration a Ponzi scheme? And you see TikTokers and YouTubers talk out there, saying it's a Ponzi scheme. Let's talk about that today, whether it is or is not. And so this should take about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll talk about that. And as usual, this is a live broadcast. So after I talk about the topic of the day, I'll open it up to all of your questions about all of those topics. And so make sure you type your questions in chat. If you're watching this in a recording, make sure you subscribe. And that way, if you, your family, or friends have questions or need help, you think you might get the wrong check or you get some weird letter from Social Security Administration, come on back here and we can help you out. All right, so this is live. So let me get ready here. Is Social Security just a giant Ponzi scheme? So again, you see this on social media every single day. So let's check it out because this is important. We need to talk about Social Security. This is, important things important times we need to talk about it seriously. And long story short, I'm going to make the argument that Social Security is not a Ponzi scheme. And I'll give you the legal definition of what a Ponzi scheme is and how Social Security does not figure within that. But the important thing is that, yes, Social Security, everybody knows it needs to be addressed. We've got a long-term issue with Social Security, and we need our politicians to do the right thing. But in order to do that, we need to have a serious conversation, and throwing out terms like it's a Ponzi scheme and just throwing it off and, not taking it seriously, I think is detrimental, because the estimates are 22.7 million people are lifted out of poverty every year based on Social Security benefits that they receive. 16.5 million of those are seniors over 65. So Social Security is the most successful poverty alleviating system ever in U.S. history. Started in 1935. Won't give you the history. Before that time, seniors were on their own. But once the Great Depression hit, their kids couldn't take care of them anymore, and they were just kind of left to poverty. And we decided as Americans, we needed to do something about that. So we came up with the Social Security Administration, and here we are today. So what is a Ponzi scheme? So, people throw out that word Ponzi scheme, but they don't know really what it means. And they say, well, it's a Ponzi scheme. I don't care what Ed said. I think it's a Ponzi scheme. Well, you can use any definition. I can call this a full head of hair if I want to, but that doesn't make it a reality. So what is a Ponzi scheme? So this is per Black's Law Dictionary. So anytime Bernie Madoff or any of these guys get prosecuted, he would say persecuted, but prosecuted for a Ponzi scheme or a Ponzi scam, this is the legal definition that they use. It's a fraudulent investment scheme in which money contributed by later investors generates artificially high dividends or returns for the original investors. Number one, if you think Social Security is an investment strategy like your 401k or investing in Bitcoin or Wall Street, then yeah, we need to talk. It's not an investment, a personal investment as we think of an investment. It is a social program, not an economic one. If you pay into it for 30, 40 years and you pass away and there's no spouse or no children, then that's it. That money, people ask me all the time, says, well, my father paid into it for 40 years and he passed away at 61 years old. What happens with that money? It's not an investment. You don't get that money. The issue is always, is this an entitlement program or is it not an entitlement program? Both. It's an entitlement program in the sense of if you make it at 62 or if you become disabled or you pass away and you have survivors, they're entitled to those benefits. If you don't make it to 62 and you don't have any survivors, you've got a brother, a cousin, and he goes down to Social Security, which has happened, goes down to Social Security, says, yeah, my brother just passed away and he's paid, Social Security for, 40 years. And so I'd like to get that money out. So yeah, no, yeah. Several times a year, we used to have people come down making those requests. And no, it's not that type of investment. No, obviously it's a 401k or something like that, or some money in the bank. Then they have to go through probate and all the rest of it. And so that's a traditional investment. But it was determined in the 1960s, this lawsuit. This guy was he paid into Social Security for many years, and then he was unceremoniously kicked out of the country. It was during the whole McCarthy, communist witch hunt type thing. So he was kicked out of the country, and he sued. He says, "I want all my Social Security back." And they said, "No, no, no. It's not. It's not an entitlement. You're not entitled to it like that. If you would have stayed in the country, and if you would have stayed a U.S. citizen and all that sure, you're entitled to it at that time. But if you pass away or you get thrown in jail for the rest of your life, we're not going to send those checks to your cell." So that's the difference. It's not an entitlement, but it is an entitlement. So that's kind of a gray area there. And it's definitely not a personal investment. And probably the closest thing people say, well, it's money from the reason it's a Ponzi scheme is it depends on new people coming in. Yes, to a certain extent, the newer workers pay for the current elderly. But the reason we have, what is it, close to a $3 trillion trust fund is because a commission in the early 80s decided that, okay, baby boomers from 1946 to 1964, 76 million Americans, those people are going to start retiring soon. And we need to put some money away for that inevitable reality. So they built up the trust fund even more. Some people, disagreed with it. They started taxing Social Security, and they raised the retirement age and all the rest of it in order to deal with the long-term issues of Social Security. So we've got close to a $3 trillion trust fund, and that trust fund, it's put into specific instruments, government instruments. It's not given to Wall Street or anything like that. It's specifically very, very, very safe, but obviously low return investments. But it generates hundreds of billions of dollars of interest every year, and every single penny of it is accounted for. That's another thing of a Ponzi scheme is you don't know what's happened behind the Wizard of Oz curtain, where they're playing with the money and coming out here and taking some money from the person who just gave some money today and give it to the older investors. And again, because it's not it's not an entitlement, those older investors in a Ponzi scheme are entitled to that money because they're investing. They want those high returns. But Social Security, again, you're not technically entitled to it. You are if you reach 62 and survivor benefits or become disabled or all the rest of it. But all you have to do is look at the Social Security Trustees report that comes out every single month. And if you have insomnia, this is the perfect place to cure your insomnia. Go read that report. It came out last month. The new one will come out this month, and it'll tell you exactly every single penny, where it all is, and how much was collected and how much was spent, and everything in detail every single month. So, it's got the money, probably about 80% or so comes from current receipts, people paying their FICA taxes. There's another 10% or so that is from interest based on the instruments, the bonds that the Social Security trustees buy, and also the money going out that's being used by the trust fund, that close to $3 trillion trust fund. That money is going out, but that obviously the money is that's the issue. It's demographics. It's the baby boomers. It's people not having kids. It's income inequality, where I'm going to do a longer video on this one in the future. Basically, 1985, 89% of income was available for FICA taxes. But now that's gone down about 10% because the money has gone to the rich, the super rich. and they don't pay FICA taxes on that. So we've lost about 10% of that, and that's, hundreds of billions of dollars extra per year we could have put into it and added several more years onto the solvency. So, do you expect high returns? I mean, that is the nature of, sustained high returns. That's the name of, that's the definition of a Ponzi scheme, and I don't think anybody expects high returns. But I mean, it's, every now and then we used to get, when I took Social Security claims, there was a report, part of the, the internal computer system, where someone's, we'd check their earnings record and see how much they paid into Social Security all their life and everything. And it also showed how much they actually paid in absolute values over their entire life. Okay, for in your entire life, you paid, $300,000 in FICA taxes. And so that's the trick. That's the trick. You will get your money back if you eat healthy and exercise and don't stress and all that other kind of stuff, and don't listen to all this internet myths, by stressing yourself out. Is live longer and prosper, and you will get more than your $300,000 back if you take care of yourself, because you figure, you make $2,000 a month, and times 10 or 20, 30 years. And that's another issue. People are living longer. That's one of the demographic issues of Social Security that we're challenged with. And is it, again, profit? Your benefit amount is based on your high 35 years of earnings. So it's not some investment profit or anything like that. Again, the trust fund is very, very low interest. I think is anywhere from 2 to 3, 4%, depending of on the year, in terms of yields on the the investments that they use for the trust fund. I mean, obviously, they could go and buy Bitcoin, and if the trustees would have bought Bitcoin 20 years ago, then we could fund Social Security for the next 1,000 years. But we could have also lost our shirts. Um, so again, Ponzi scheme is completely hidden. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And with the Social Security trustees report, people, they read probably 2 paragraphs of that and they just give up. It's just too detailed. So, victims of Ponzi schemes don't really know what's going to happen. And the average length of a Ponzi scheme is 5.3 years, because there's no more people coming in. And so therefore it completely collapses. So the average is about 5.3 years. Social Security has been around since the 1930s. Started in 1935, started collecting its first Social Security, FICA, it's in 1937 or so. And anytime they do projections, they do a 75-year projection. There's I don't know many Ponzi schemes that do a 75-year projection. So why is this often repeated? Well, number one, it's easy. It's like, oh, Social Security has problems. They're very complicated problems that need serious people to think about, us to think about. And that's difficult. We've got other things to do in life, and we're busy and stuff. So we just hear oh, it's a Ponzi scheme. Oh, it's, they're giving it out to Ukraine, or they're stealing the money. Oh, okay, that's an easy thing. All right, let me move on with my life. And then just repeat that and move on with my life. But that's not what we need. We need serious discussion on how to, continue the solvency and strengthen Social Security and Medicare for the future. Anytime you repeat something like that, and as I always say when I talk about disability, other things as well. It's, people file for disability, and, oh, you're always denied the first time. That is a completely disservice, because number one, it's not true. I can tell you, because I've taken hundreds of thousands of disability claims that were approved the first time. But it's a disservice because people are, hurting, they're struggling, they lost their job, they couldn't work because of their disability, and they've got all those pressures on them. And then they hear people, oh, you always get denied the first time anyway. So they just give up, and they say, well, I don't want to go through all that, and so I just won't file for disability. Those people, there's a lot of people out there that probably qualify for disability that will make their lives easier. But because we've got all these crazy remarks going around, that's a disservice to those people. So, think before, yeah. Politicians stealing money. I'll probably get another video on that one. But again, no, politicians are not stealing the money. They're not sending the money to Ukraine. Every single penny of Social Security, FICA taxes, every single penny of the um, the returns, the hundreds of billions of dollars of returns on the investments in the trust fund is accounted for. Every penny of the trust fund is accounted for. That 2.7, close to $3 trillion. Every single penny is accounted for. So, but that's that's the issue. That's going to run out. Again, demographic, elderly, all the rest of it. So I'll get into another video on all that later. So yeah, in order to get a true solution, an honest solution, we need to kind of get rid of the internet myths out there, and Ponzi scheme, I think, is one of those. So all right, that's enough on that. Let's go ahead and move over to some of your questions, and let's see if anybody agrees or disagrees with me or have any other retorts, rebuttals. And again, if you've got any other questions on all things Social Security, let me know. All right, let's see here. Mickey, medical friend. Okay. Patty, Cheryl, it's based on your high 30. Okay, we got yeah, and these chats are awesome. Sometimes people are answering other people's questions. Yes, your benefit amount is based on your high 35 years of earnings, indexed for inflation. Yeah, yeah, kind of an inflation. I'm getting almost twice what my husband will get in a couple of months. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. If you made a ton the last 10 years, but your other 25 aren't anywhere near that, it won't average out to more than hit. Yeah, so a lot of people, again, that's another thing, misinformation out there. I did a whole video on misinformation. I could do another 1,000 videos on misinformation out there. There's so much stuff and so much garbage out there. That's why I've come out of semi-retirement and started to doing all these videos here. But yeah, it's not your retirement benefit amount. All that is not based on your last year or your last 5 years or your last 10 years or anything like that. It's based on your high 35 years of earnings. And so let's see here. Let's see. The answer I got yesterday, I knew asked the wrong way. Okay. If I ticket to work is for work and CDR is a school program, I will need the CDR due. I can't do what I did. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not following that one. Mark, if you take Social Security retirement benefits before full retirement age, can you pause them? Do you have to pay what you collected? Okay. Good question. Good question. All right. So there's basically 3 ways, 3 times you can kind of stop your benefits from coming in. The first one is if you file for benefits and within 12 months you change your mind and say, well, I should have never done that. You can go into Social Security, completely withdraw your application, but you have to pay all that money back. Okay. Or when you're in early retirement, and when you start early retirement, you tell Social Security you're going to stay under the $22,320 or whatever the annual earnings limit is for that particular year. And then 6 months later, a year later, someone offers you a job making $100,000, and you just call up Social Security and you do a work report and say, hey, next year I'm going to make $100,000 and you're going to be way over the 22,000. So they take $1 for every $2 you go back. So they say, okay, next year, you're not going to get any of your checks. We're going to withhold all your checks. So that's number 2 way to do it. And the number 3 way, which I did a video on, which I've done videos on all these, but it's voluntary delayed retirement credits. Once you hit your full retirement age, you can actually stop your benefits and then get that 8% return on your investments up until you're 70, and then restart your benefits at 70. So you can increase your benefits there. In terms of probably the one you're talking about is probably number 2, where you can kind of pause your benefits because you're going to be making over that amount. And you'll say, well, I'll lose that. What happens is once you hit your full retirement age, let's say you didn't take your benefits, for 2 years, but or let's say 20 months. Okay. So you take a 30-month early reduction. So you start your benefits 30 months early. So you get 30 months early reduction. And then after 10 months, you decide to go back to work. So you call Social Security and they stop your next 20 checks. Once you hit your full retirement age, the computer system looks and says, okay, this person is reduced for 30 months, but they didn't take 20 of those checks. So what they'll do is they'll figure those 20 reduction months back into your benefit amount. So from that point going forward, past your full retirement age, that point going forward, then you're just going to be reduced 10 months for the rest of your life. So hopefully I explained that sufficiently. Poverty believing. Yeah, poverty. Yeah, I knew someone was gonna. I knew someone was gonna talk about that. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's all you have to do is I'm a bit of a historian. Yeah, before Social Security, poverty, elderly poverty, and people on disabled disability and stuff like that, it was far worse. Could it get better now? Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, all you have to do is look back at history and, I see you do need a PhD to know all of these acronyms information. Yeah, I think I spent most of my adult life, 8 years in the Marine Corps and then social services and yeah, too many acronyms. Does an adopted child below 18 entitled to survivor benefits till 21? Okay, another good question. All right, yeah. So yeah, if you have an adopted child and one of the unfortunate big things nowadays is grandparents taking care of grandchildren, and if you adopt them and you're receiving Social Security disability, they can get benefits as well, or if their parents are deceased or disabled. But yeah, if their parent passed away, um, okay, well, okay, let me make sure I'm clear here. Adopted, so adopted out of, so the parent passed away. Did that parent that passed away was the one that adopted the children? If so, then that Social Security, that's a natural, same as a natural child. If you adopt someone, that's your child. So absolutely, the child will receive survivor benefits until they're 18, or until they graduate high school, or 19 and 2 months if they're still in high school. Let's say they're still in high school till 20 years old. They won't get it until they're 20. They'll get it until 19 and 2 months. Megan, how can I find out what my ex's Social Security is going to be? I know all his Social Security info. He isn't retired yet that I know of, so I can figure out how much I will receive. Yeah, that's Social Security obviously, is a stickler for private information, PII, as we call it. And I have had to fire several employees for giving out information that they shouldn't have and accessing information they shouldn't have. So Social Security is, yeah, very militant about that. So to find out the benefit amount of an ex-spouse, it's kind of difficult, and rightly so. But once it's hard to plan in the future because Social Security usually doesn't give that information out. You might call and someone blurts it out by accident, or whatever the case may be. But if your ex-spouse's benefit amount is twice as much as yours, then you're entitled to benefits on their record if you were married to them in 10 years, is longer, and you're not currently married. But if once you hit, if your ex-spouse is still alive and kicking, then you're entitled to benefits starting at 62 years old. And then what you do is, you have to file for benefits on your own record first. And you file for benefits on your own record. And then if your ex-spouse is your first ex-spouse, second ex-spouse, third ex-spouse, doesn't matter, whichever one was the highest. If their benefit is twice as much as yours, then you're entitled to benefits on their record. And how you do it is you call Social Security, and when you go to schedule your appointment, or if you're already receiving your own benefits, then you say, hey, I want to file for a spouse claim, and they'll say, okay, what's the name of the person, social security number if you know it. If you don't, no big deal. And they will look at it, and if it's twice as much as your benefit amount, your PIA, your primary insurance amount, the amount at FRA, then they will schedule an appointment. That's the cue. That's the key, that there's money there. They won't schedule an appointment unless there's a claim for you to take. So if they schedule an appointment, you go, yay, money. Now you have to figure out how much, and you can't find out how much 99% of the time. Sometimes people, blurt it out, but anyway, until you actually prove that you've got some type of relationship or had a relationship with that person. So they will, ask for your marriage certificate and divorce decree to prove that you're 10 years. And then once they confirm that, then they'll tell you exactly how much you're going to get from that previous person's work record. So, all right. Joanne, I heard you mention that the beginning of our benefits are higher than what we see as our benefit on the check. Is this before the taxes and premiums are subtracted? The beginning of our benefits are higher. I don't know if I mentioned. Yeah, yeah. But your second part of your question is correct. Yeah, you'll get your benefit amount, and if you're paying for Medicare, then obviously that $174.70 will come out. If you're paying for Part D prescription drug, that'll come out as well. If you are you doing voluntary tax withholding, because Social Security doesn't withhold taxes automatically, you specifically have to ask them to withhold taxes. My eye is all red. I got a little bit of allergies going on there. Sorry. So I look funkier than usual. So yeah. So speaking of that, since I've talked about that, Social Security doesn't automatically withhold taxes from your Social Security check. They can if you want. It's called a W-4V, V for voluntary. So it's voluntary tax. It's a little slip of paper. You fill it out and say, hey, take out 7% or 15% or 22% of my Social Security check. And what most people do when they first sign up for retirement benefits, if they want to go ahead and do that, they, just kind of guesstimate. People always ask, what should I put down? I never give out tax advice like that. But I say, choose whatever you want, go high or go low. And then next year, when you file your taxes, then adjust it. So the first time, just kind of make the best guess estimate as you possibly can. And then when you go file taxes, the tax person says, oh, you paid too much or you didn't pay enough. And then you just fill out that little W-4V again and increase it or decrease it or whatever, appropriately. So that's what almost everybody does. All right. If it's generating millions of investment billions of dollars, why is it going bankrupt? Because 76 million people are retiring, so that's why. In the 1980s, the Greenspan Commission, they're the ones that kind of did it was under Reagan, so I don't want any political stuff out there. But yeah, billions of dollars, and that's when they decided to start taxing Social Security. At that time, it was later increased. That's when they increased the retirement age, because it's just it's demographics. It's 76 million people, retiring. And so they tried to prepare for it. But one of the things they messed up is they thought that population birth rates would be higher, but didn't turn out that way. So you need young people to pay into the system. And so I guess that's one of the, but it's not that is the only thing that's similar to a Ponzi. That's why people throw out the Ponzi thing, but they kind of throw all the other parts of the definition out. Again, full head of hair. I got right here. So full head of hair, right? But yeah, 90% not so much. So the demographics of that, and again, all those hundreds of billions of dollars that traditionally we were paying to the system, that money is now going to people that are making outside of what's taxable under Social Security. This year is what, $165,000. Anything over that, then the people make over that, they don't pay FICA taxes into it, so they don't contribute to that system. So for us regular people, all of our money is subject to the FICA tax. But if you're making over 165,000, then you're not. So that's, yeah. So it's not going bankrupt. It's just we're going to have challenges in the next 10, 15 years of paying 100% of what we're paying, keeping up with COLA and all the rest of it. So, yeah. All right. Let's see what other kind of questions here. 35 years of gross earnings or adjusted earnings in terms of calculating your benefit amount. It's your gross earnings if you're working, net income if you're self-employed. I'm 65 and now on disability. Can I still get money for school? No, not from Social Security. But make sure you watch my video. I just did a video on disability, and then the important times. At 62 you need to do this, at 65 you need to do this, at your full retirement age you need to know about this. So make sure you watch that video. My ex lived on his military disability, never collected his Social Security because he owed back child support. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised that court order wasn't done to um, to take withholding from his military back pay. But yeah, Social Security, if the court sends Social Security an order for garnishment, then Social Security garnishes. Like we used to do it every day for alimony and particularly child support. So, Megan, if you know all of your exes, then don't you know what? Yeah, probably just information in terms of where he worked and all that kind of stuff. But the actual calculations, yeah, a lot of people don't know the actual calculations. And it doesn't matter when. All right, so I like to do this every single time. It doesn't matter whether your ex has filed for benefits yet. Please subscribe, like, and share, and all that kind of good stuff. I know you're tired of me here saying that, but there are hundreds of thousands of people out there that are not getting the benefits they're entitled to because they don't have the information. So the only way to get it out there is for y'all to share and subscribe and all that good stuff. But anyway, so your ex doesn't have to have filed for benefits yet. Please, that's not correct. They don't have to have filed. As long as they're 62 and you've been divorced for 2 years and you were married to them for 10 years, then it's called independently entitled divorced spouse. You still have to file for benefits on your own record, but you go into Social Security and say, yeah, the person is 62. They're going to wait until they're 65 or 67 or 70 just to spite me, but they don't know that it doesn't matter. Your benefit amount is based on their full retirement age, how much they would receive at their full retirement age. So as long as yours is less than half of theirs, you can get those benefits. All right. I had my spouse passed away years ago, and I remarried when I was 50. I am now 60 and divorcing. Can I collect widow survivor benefits on my deceased spouse once divorce is final? Yes, you can. Yep, as long as you're not married. Yeah, you're correct that you for survivor benefits you can marry after 60 and still continue those benefits. But yeah, once you divorce, then you can collect benefits on any ex-spouse. Mickey, I need to find out about all the program offered for SSEI to better myself. Perfect. Yeah, the ticket to work. Watch the video I just did yesterday on disability. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday? They're all running together. Yeah, make sure you watch that video, and then I go through the ticket to work, and so reach out to them. And there's also in particular areas, depends on, there's over 1,500 Social Security offices throughout the country, and a lot of areas have what's called an AWIC, an Area Work Incentives Coordinator. And so that's another resource. So you can reach out to the ticket to work, and then also just type in SSA AWIC, and it'll give you a list of all the AWICs in your particular area, and reach out to them and say, hey, I'm on SSDI, and I really like to see if I can go back to work, and they'll help you through the program, the trial work period, the extended period of eligibility, and all the rest of it. So JP, if I take early Social Security retirement on my 62nd birthday, July 10th, Will I get my first check in September? Okay. So, yes, yes. So, sounds like you already know that you have to be 62 the entire month. So, your benefits won't start until August. So, you're entitled to your August check, but your August check won't come until September. And you were born the first 10 days. So, you will get your first check on the second Wednesday of September, because the first 10 days, it's the second Wednesday, second 10 days, you were born, third Wednesday, and then yada, yada. So, yep, good. Uh, Joe, your channel is growing fast. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I kind of hit a nerve. There's nobody out there doing kind of what am I doing, and there's a lot of people trying, but again, that I wish that so-called educational, there's a few educational places out there that give you a 2-day seminar on Social Security, and then you get a cute little certificate that says you're an expert. And yeah, they're doing a lot of damage, unfortunately. If I have taxes taken out of my Social Security check and then move to a state that doesn't collect taxes on Social Security, yeah, so no, that's a state thing. When I talk about taxes, I mean federal taxes. So yeah, Social Security doesn't take state taxes out. So that's between you and your state. So, but that is a trend. Is people in retirement, they are moving to other places, that don't pay taxes on social state taxes. You might still pay federal taxes on Social Security, but yeah, some people are moving, down south and other places where they don't pay taxes on state taxes. Um, Jim, I was born with a disability and my father passed away when I was a child. I get SSI, but it's barely enough to live on. Should I try and apply for SSDI? You should have already done that. When you apply for disability, they, again, in a perfect world, if the claim specialist that took your claim originally did the right thing, and hopefully they did, what they do is they address both programs, Title II and Title 16, SSDI and SSI. So hopefully they did that, but I would double check. Um, and I'm not sure when your father passed away. Maybe when I was a child. Okay, when you were a child. So they probably already checked out. Again, you can collect um, benefits, SSDI benefits from a deceased parent, or a parent on retirement or disability if you are what's called a disabled adult child. That is, you became disabled before the age of 22. So if you became disabled before the age of 22, I would definitely, yeah, contact Social Security and file for surviving child benefits, and at least they'll address it. And I think that's one of the big things of this channel. Somebody said it's kind of blowing up. We're not able to find extra money for everybody, and we're finding millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars so far this year. So we're doing pretty good. Y'all are doing good. I'm just sitting here talking, and y'all are the ones sharing. So y'all are the ones doing it. But I think one of the other things we're doing is giving people peace of mind. But they're always, because there's always people out there. I always wondered if I got the right check. I always wondered if I should have done this or that, whatever the case may be. And if nothing else, we're giving people peace of mind. They say, oh, okay, well, I can, I can forget about that and go on with my life, and I don't have to worry about all the time whether I'm getting the right benefit amount. So thank you for that. Thanks for addressing the Ponzi scheme and stealing of Social Security funds. Like, where I get tired of those claims. Yeah, yeah. I'll probably do another one on yeah, stealing of the funds. And a big one nowadays is people say, oh, if we haven't given it to Ukraine, yeah, or illegals. And so yeah, not a penny of Social Security goes to illegals. You have to prove your citizenship or legal residence in the country to get benefits. I'm sure there's one well, it's very difficult, because anytime Social Security, if we get like a green card or something like that, we have to fill out a G845. Still remember the numbers, and have to confirm it through the INS and all the rest of the stuff to confirm whether it's a valid, yeah, resident card and everything like that. So, I heard one theory on one of the fixes for Social Security is that people who have saved all their lives will have their Social Security reduced. Yeah, there's all kinds of. I think maybe yeah, there's all kinds of solutions out there. And on the recent report, the Republican Study Committee report, that was kind of one of their ones where that was kind of a means tested system. So maybe that's it. That there would be no more spouse benefits for high income earners. So if you're someone's is 67 or 68 years old and the spouse files, but you're making $300,000 a year, there's no spouse benefits. So yeah, but that I always go back to the old 1970s schoolhouse rock. With a bill, how a bill becomes a law. You can write up bills all the day, but until it becomes a law, don't bank on it. And that's all the clickbait on there. As soon as the Republican Study Committee came out with that, then a whole bunch of people made videos about, oh, they're going to stop spouse benefits, and I've got hundreds of questions in here. I heard spouse benefits are going to stop. No, it's just another clickbait that's trying to get you to watch their channel or subscribe or whatever the case might be. So I heard that there's nothing left in the trust fund but a bunch of IOUs. Our politicians have been tapping the trust fund since it started. I wonder which is true. Yeah, I mean IOUs. It's it's the only way. There is going to be an IOU. I mean, but it should be in the United States. The United States, Treasury bonds. Especially these are specific design instruments where Social Security trust funds are in there, and every penny is accounted for. And yeah, so it's kind of they buy the bonds, and when you buy that, it's a debt. So I guess it's an IOU, but it's the only way the IOU wouldn't be paid back if this whole grand experiment we call the United States of America ends and the zombie apocalypse happens. So yeah, I mean it's that money is coming back out every day. It's money that was put in the bank essentially, and we're making interest on it, not great interest, but 2, 3, 4%. And then when we need it, we pull it out to pay the obligations. So and then politicians have been tapping into the trust fund. No. That is specifically designed for Social Security, and none of that money can be touched for anything else. Every single penny is 100% accounted for, and you can read the trustees report. I don't think the trustees report is out this month yet, but I just checked, and the May one, is there, and it's super long, and it tells you exactly down to the penny where every penny you ever paid in Social Security, everybody ever paid in Social Security, including all the interest, where it is. So it's 100% accounted for. Donna, I filed for Social Security in January, turned 66 April. December 1st is my full retirement age. I have made over $22,000, also less than 12 months. Can I call and have checks held until December, not paid back? All right. So you filed for in January, turned 66. So your full retirement age, December 1st is your full retirement age. Oh, so if your full retirement age is this year, no, it's not the $22,320. If this is your full retirement age year, you can make $59,520 this year. So no, you're good. Yeah, the year you turn your full retirement age, the annual earnings limit like triples almost. So almost less. Anyway, and then anything over $59,520, they hold back $1 for every $3 you go over. So Lisa, 61, self-employed from 87 to 21, currently married 14 years, husband 62. I was divorced multiple times and widowed. None lasted 10 years. My self-employment income went to X's record. Yeah, I just talked about that yesterday, and I did a video on that as well. Yeah, that's, again, IRS, the accountants and, whoever does your taxes, they know the IRS, but quite often they mess you up when you have a business, husband and wife has a business. And, the profits are split and you do whatever, with the profits, but quite often the accountants out there, the H&R Block, whoever, they put all of that net income on one Social Security number. And that's fine, I guess, if y'all are never going to divorce, but life is what happens while you're making other plans, right? And when you do, and people get divorced, And then they find out exactly like Lisa there that they've got no money. But but you're currently married, so you can't collect on those benefits anyway. So if you were divorced, then you could have access, because that was technically your money as well. So you were married to the person for 10 years. And yeah, that's an unfortunate thing when husband and wives have their own business. And accountants out there, anybody that does taxes, please let your people know, people that are married and filing taxes and they have a business, tell them that, okay, here's the deal. We can put all of the net income on one social security number, but as long as y'all are going to be married to the end, that might be the best way, because that's going to make that benefit higher. But if something happens, then one of the spouses is going to be left with zero in paid into social security. So yeah, just full information. I signed up for Social Security 2020. COVID hit. I spoke with a gal named Sue. Sure, it wasn't a boy named Sue. Talk about Survivor and mine, which is best. I'm 63 today. I don't know what happened. Never received a check. I start over. Wow, wait a second. Created account. Talk about Survivor and mine, which is, yeah, you actually have to file a claim there. So yeah, I would definitely start over. And you can, if you wanted your benefits to start at that time and whatever reason didn't, maybe that is an open lead. You're protected. So when you go in there and file and say, hey, I've been busy for 3 years, and I thought my benefits had started, and so I want my benefits to start this month. Or you can say, well, actually, I wanted it to start at that time. How come they didn't start at that time? They just might be able to start it going all the way back. Obviously, your benefits are reduced as they always are when you file early. But Legario, I'm waiting for a decision from SSI disability. It's been 17 months. Wow. If it's determined that I get it, can wife file under my name? She will be 65 soon after I get approved, or does she need to wait? Yeah, if she's 62 years old and she's, obviously not working and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you start your benefits in whatever form, retirement, disability, whatever the case may be, then yeah, it's kind of the 17-month thing. Kind of, hopefully that's not an initial decision. Initial decision should only take 6 to 9 months. Maybe that's the second stage, the reconsideration, or you're waiting for a judge or something. And yeah, like in Savannah, Georgia, that's the slowest in the country. It takes 22 months to get a decision at the ALJ. Question: I'm 62 in dire need of cash. Thinking of taking taking my benefits. Any cons to that move? No, it's yeah, no, yeah. People are complaining. Stop saying yes and then no. um, but yeah, it is a yes and no answer, I guess. It's 100% your decision and your situation in life. No one can tell you that you should wait till your full retirement age or 65, or you should do it 62 or 70, because nobody knows. The only time 100% for sure, I always say this, I can tell you 100% for sure, guaranteed, when you should have started benefits: the day you pass away. Then oh yeah, that person should have started at 62 or 65, 70, because here's the calculations here, 100% certain. But since you don't know that date, you just take your best effort. If you file at 62, you're going to get fully reduced, though. You understand that you're going to get 30% reduction, and you're going to be limited to how much you work, $22,320. And then once you hit your full retirement age, some people think, well, once I hit my full retirement age, the benefit will go back up. No, no, no. Once you're reduced like that, and if you continue taking benefits, then yeah, then that's going to be your number. But as I talked about earlier, you can, stop your benefits. You can change your mind within the first 12 months. You can stop your benefits if you get a job. You can, stop your benefits, voluntary delayed retirement credits, when you hit your full retirement age. So there are options. Yeah. How come if a child is disabled, the mom's money counts and they don't get the full amount. Okay, so this sounds like an SSI thing. Yeah, so if a child is receiving SSI disability, SSI is the welfare-based program, and as a welfare-based program, if there's any money coming into that house, then yeah, that's counted against um, the benefit amount. The most the child can get is $943, but if the mother in the family in the same house, is making $100,000, that's not a needy child. Sure, the child is disabled. They're entitled to disability, but they're not entitled to that check because it's a welfare-based benefit. SSDI is different. That's disability insurance. Doesn't matter if you've got $1 billion coming in from a 401k or inheritance. Work is an entirely different thing. But if you got $1 billion and you become disabled, unable to work, you can get your Social Security disability. Your resources mean nothing, no relevance whatsoever. Ray, I retired at 62. I'll be 65 in 2 months. My Social Security check is less than 300. Do I qualify for supplemental security income? I live in a low income household. Yes. Yeah, if you're only receiving $300, I do I yeah, I would definitely call them up and apply for SSI. A lot of people think you can't get SSI and SSDI or other stuff too, but you can 100%. So if you get $300 and you're approved for SSI, what will happen is you'll get $643 from SSI and $300. So for a total of $943. So you'll continue to get your $300 here plus another. But again, SSI is a welfare-based program, so it's contingent upon income and resources and all the rest of it. But please, yes, please, Ray, call the 800 number and schedule an appointment for SSI. But you'll be 65 in 2 months. Yeah, so you don't have to be disabled. You can file for SSI aged. So because you're 65, it's not necessarily disability type thing. It's because you're 65 years old. So definitely, please apply for that. And then make sure you watch my videos. I did 4 videos on living on Social Security alone, and there's 47 ideas, programs, things out there that might make your life easier. There's actually 48 in there, but the FCC internet assistance has stopped. So watch those videos. And don't complain about the slow, boring introduction. Just skip through it. I'm sorry. I did a slow. Everybody complains it's a slow introduction. Sorry. I think it's important, but some people don't. Hello, Dr. Ed. My husband gets FRA, and my FRA, I will be on 67, is 1,500. What is my total benefits amount? Oh, Korean. 안녕하세요. All right. So let's see here. So husband is full retirement age 3822, and you are 1,500. So yeah, so you'll get what, $411 if my gorilla math is correct. Yeah, because your benefit amount is less than half of his, so you'll get, yeah. Again, yeah, don't trust my gorilla math. I just did in my head right now, but yeah, I would definitely, if he's already filed and you're already getting your own benefits, then yes, please, yeah, you're leaving money on the table if you don't go grab that right now. So schedule an appointment for a spouse claim. If he's already getting his benefits and you're already filed for benefits on your own record, then you need to file that third claim. So again, you have to file on your own record, and then that person has to be receiving benefits, and then you file a spouse claim. So why do people on disability Social Security not receive Medicare in Florida? My friends only receive Medicaid, and they can get Medicare at 62. No, yeah, if you're on Florida, I know Florida's strange. I grew up in Florida, went to high school in Texas, but yeah, Bradenton, Florida, and Homestead. So I know Florida's strange, but not that strange. Yeah, yeah. If you're on disability, and doesn't matter where you are, if you're on disability, you get Medicare after being on it for 24 months. So maybe that person hasn't been on disability for 24 months, or their disability is SSI. If it's SSI, then they didn't pay into Medicare, so they're not entitled to Medicare. But if they're receiving Medicaid, um, and Medicaid, I would have that person reach out to Medicaid and see if they will purchase Medicare for that person. So it's called the Medicare Savings Program. I heard that the baby boomers are retiring in record numbers nowadays. After the boomers, will there be anything left for Gen Xers? Yeah, it really depends on us. If we just sit around and, say, oh, it's going to hurricane, or politicians are stealing it, or it's a Ponzi scheme or something like that, and just leave it at that and just complain. And everybody complains about the weather, never that doesn't do anything about it, type thing. If we do that, then yeah, it's not going to be there. Uh, Again, they'll be able to pay what, 73%, in the foreseeable future. So we'll take a drastic cut, 20, 23% or so, if we don't do anything. But if we do, then yeah. So it's incumbent upon us to do it. And the politicians, but I'll tell you, I mean, I've said this many, many times, the politicians and their investment bankers and Wall Street people, don't want us to do anything because, they want to deteriorate customer service. They want to, have us believe that it's not going to be there in the future. And, they love it. It's kind of like kind of like the old Roman Empire, the gladiators, being eaten by lions and stuff like that. They're just enjoying watching us make these stupid, internet myths and talk about giving money to Ukraine and stealing money. They're like, yeah, just distract you, and that way, one day you'll wake up and we'll have all of it. We'll have the trillions of dollars, and then we'll go bet with Wall Street, and if we win, we'll make crazy commissions, and if we lose, you'll pay for it. So yeah, they're hoping we keep distracted. So Sweet Bug, good evening. Hey, Sweet Bug, long time. I filed for my Social Security and then decided not to take it and told them I will wait. Called 2 days later. When 7 days later, did I get a letter about my call appointment? Do I need to call them again? Um, Called 2 days later. When 7 days later, did I get a letter about my call appointment? Do I need? Yeah, for something like that, they usually don't make an appointment because that's not a new claim. Social Security, pretty much only you set up an appointment if for a new claim, new retirement or something like that. But this is a PE issue, post entitlement. So they usually don't make appointments for something like that. But yeah, so what you want to do is if you, are going to be over the annual earnings limit, then you just call and do the work report. SSDI is probably taking a big chunk out of the Social Security Trust Fund. So many are trying for SSDI, then contributing it. The U.S. sick care system isn't helping the Social Security insolvency. Yeah, the Social Security Trust Fund is actually doing very, very well. Rather than the retirement. The retirement one, that's the one that's the big issue. And yeah, and you're right. The Medicare one is an issue. But yeah, the Social Security Trust Fund is actually solvency is a long, long ways off. So that's one of the things they're thinking about doing is moving stuff from the Social Security Disability Trust Fund to the regular, retirement survivors, spouse trust fund. I don't think that's a super big, issue that anybody would have a complain about. Can I switch to my deceased husband's Social Security if his are greater than mine, even though I currently receive mine? If so, can I get his full amount? And is there a minimum marriage length to qualify? Okay, a lot of questions on there. All right, so deceased Social Security, if there's a yes. If you are currently not married or you remarried after 60, absolutely, you can switch from, or it's not really switch because you've already started yours. You'll continue to get yours. It's just that his benefit amount will be added on top, minus your own. So if you're entitled to $1,000 from that deceased spouse, and you're receiving $300, you'll continue to get your $300 plus an extra $700 to equals $1,000. So that's how that works. It's called a dual entitlement. Okay. If so, can I get his full amount? So if you're your full retirement age, yes. And is there a minimum marriage length to qualify? You had to be married if it's divorce, you had to be married to the person for 10 years. If you were married to the person when they passed, you had to be married at least 9 months. There are exceptions. Person passed away in the military or something like that. Jennifer, speaking of Jennifer Cash, I just did a reference to a boy named Sue and Johnny Cash. So what a coincidence. All right. I should have Roseanne coming up here soon. When I divorced, my ex had me sign some Social Security from waiving my rights to collect benefits. Do you know what says? Yeah, yeah. That's completely nice try, ex-spouse. But you signed. I've done quite a few videos about this, and Jennifer, please get the word out there. That means zero, nothing, zip. I think I probably did 5 or 6 or 7 videos. I think I talk about this quite often. Probably talked about 100 times, but still, there's people out there that are losing money because they think that's valid, and it's not. It's 100% garbage. So here's how it works. Again, spouse claims. And the person for 10 years? Yep, I was married to that person 10 years. Okay, I need the marriage certificate and I need the divorce decree. Okay, here's the marriage certificate. Okay, bride, groom, date of marriage. Okay, where's the divorce decree? Okay, right here. Plaintiff, defendant, date of divorce. That's it. Okay, that's it. Here's your documents back. They don't look at anything on there. Okay, I got to tell you the truth. Sometimes I do. The divorces back in the 1970s, I always liked to see what kind of car they had and stuff like that. See how much it was. Oh, $1,200, whatever. But anything that's just me being Anyway, so anything other than that, anything else on the divorce decree means zero, nothing, no relevance whatsoever. Whatever form you signed, whatever thing, that was your ex-spouse and maybe his or lawyer trying to be sneaky, but nope, doesn't matter at all. Go in there and get your money. Go get your money and then report back and say, yep, I got my money. Considering the best and low premium to zero out-of-pocket medical when time comes. Okay. Just remember that Social Security never calls you at home. Unless you've got an appointment or unless you've got some type of pending claim or something like that, they might say, hey, it's, you know, just want to confirm that you're going to be, there for your consultative exam or something like that. Yeah. I used to get calls all the time on my private cell phone while I was in my office at the Social Security Administration. So yeah, we're going to stop your Social Security. We're going to stop your Social Security number. And I'm like, all right, who is this? Oh, this is John. Hey, where you at, John? Dallas. What's your last name? You know, Kitchener. Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, there is no John Kitchener in Dallas. How do you know that? Well, I'm in the Social Security Administration. So yeah, I've gotten quite a few calls of scammers like that. So if you ever get anything like that, there's an OIG website and that you can report. And yeah, if you get a call like that, if you get a letter like that, particularly ones that are saying, go down to Target or Walmart and get in a gift certificate and give me the numbers type thing. Yeah, then big, red flag. Imaginator, words of wisdom: never count your chickens before they hatch. Yeah, and never trust everything you read on the internet. Yes, that's a fact. Does people on SSDI have to pay taxes if that's your only income? Usually not. But again, I don't want to give tax advice out there because they might have to pay state taxes, and they say, hey, it doesn't have to pay taxes. So, and you might have some type of Well, you said only income, but that's your only income, probably not. Why some Congress people get so rich with investments? Why they cannot act as a 401k that makes money grow? So, because anytime Social Security is a social safety net, and it has to the safest investments possible. That's what the Social Security Act, the law says, that the trustees have to invest it in the safest. Just like if you do a 401k, you're I'm sure, hopefully, you're doing it right. When you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s, you've got a large percent and, international or, high yield or, some high interest, um, high risk, but hopefully some high profitable investments. But the closer you get in age, hopefully you're moving more of those to, government bonds, the safest. Because hopefully you did this because I have seen too many people over the decades working at when I worked at Social Security, after every financial crisis, that lifetime, that once in a lifetime financial crisis that seems to come every 10 or 20 years, that, they were, oh yeah, oh my gosh, this is all I'm going to have to live on for the rest of my life. And they said, I had a 401k, but it was blown away during this last, financial, internet, whatever crunch. And, I just think to myself, and it's like, 401ks too, you've got a basket of investments. You can do high risk and then safer ones, but the closer you get to full retirement age, you're supposed to move more percentage to your safer ones. And so that's what all Social Security is. They don't do the wild Bitcoin investments. They do from the get-go the safest. So it's 100% in the safest. And why Congress gets rich in investments, yeah, yeah, you and me both. Why the government gives billions to Ukraine if they don't have money for American citizens? Yeah. So again, actually, I mean, if you look at the money, yeah, I get those all the time. I think most of the money goes to is giving weapons and then old weapon stockpiles to Ukraine. So we're giving money in that respect. And then so the companies, the weapon manufacturing, as Dwight David Eisenhower said, the military industrial complex replenishes those weapons and for American jobs and all that kind of stuff. So actually, yeah, most of that money actually stays here. Yeah, Kathleen, if you appreciate the content, please hit the like button. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Does Social Security contact previous employers when you file for disability benefits? Can I just provide them with the job descriptions instead? No, they don't. Yeah, I don't think they contact previous employers, and unless you authorize them, but yeah, usually they definitely contact, um, your doctors and medical, places, clinics and hospitals and all the rest of it. But no, not your employers that I've heard of. Yeah, and yeah, you can, but you have to put down there. They know where you worked, and because you paid taxes, probably FICA taxes from that place. So, how much taxes do I have to pay on Social Security money? Okay, yeah, I don't do taxes. What was the retirement age in the 50s? Yeah, I mean, it started off at 65 years old, going back to the 1930s, and then what in the 1960s it changed for spouse benefits to 62, and then later on they said everybody pretty much at 62. So it's been a while. All right, we're over an hour, so let me go to some questions or some people I've never asked questions here. I was approved for SSDI in January. I just retired from my job of 28 years. How much can I make this year? And does it change next year for 2025? Yeah, it changes every year. So if you're receiving disability, then yeah, make sure you watch my video yesterday on disability and working. It'll explain everything, trial work period and all the rest of it. So watch that video I did yesterday. All right, let's see. Let me get two more questions for people that haven't asked. Anna, we have Medicare and Medicaid. Do we still need to apply for a Medicare Advantage plan, or are we good with only Medicare and Medicaid? You don't have to, but I would definitely check it out because those Medicare Advantage, if you're on Medicare and Medicaid, you're eligible for probably a plan in your area that might benefit you. Some extra benefits and maybe some extra money coming in. Depends on your area. They're all different. So I would give me a call, leave your name. If you don't know a good Medicare insurance broker, then I can get you set up with someone in your state. Give me a call or email me and say, hey, I have Medicare, Medicaid. Here's my phone number. Here's my name. And I can have someone reach out to you and go over all your options. And that's 100% free. All right, let's do one more with someone that they don't recognize here, that's never asked. John, question about the Family Max. For example, 32. Okay, watch my video. I'm going to do one on the Family Max. I think it's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, the next day. Let me do one more. Carletta, I don't think asked a question before. I have worked since the early 70s. I'm seeing zeros on my earnings call to speak to a claim specialist on Tuesday, waiting over 50 minutes. Someone answered, but never came back to answer my questions. Wow. Yeah. So in the 70s, I mean, did you meet the threshold to pay into FICA? Were you self-employed? Things like that. It's kind of difficult to go all the way back there. But if you worked, let's say in 72, you worked for the same company you did in 71 and 73, so the years around there, but 72 is just missing, then that's easy for the Social Security employee to find, and those benefits are probably in what's called a suspense file. Sorry about my English is my second language, and thank you for your answer. Yeah, you're welcome. Kamsahamnida. Let's see. All right, I think yeah, all right. Yeah. All right. So I think that'll do it for today. Thank you all. I will be back tomorrow. And if I didn't answer your question, please join me tomorrow and I'll do some more Q&A after I think it is family. I think I'm going to be talking about Family Max tomorrow, but yeah. All right. Y'all have an awesome